Next up, we have Christina Koch, and she's going to tell us all about the state of research facilitation.
Great. Thank you, Brian. So, hi, everyone. My name is Christina Koch. I'm the Research Computing Facilitation Lead at CHTC, Path, OSG, this whole set of services that Marone just described. So I'll be talking a little bit about what we've been up to. I think this year specifically with the lens of what growth can look like and what it means to grow, how we're thinking about especially growing these kinds of relationships that Marone is describing in the facilitation team. So first, here's the team. There's 6 of us, somewhat geographically distributed. I think our longest serving member is Mats, and our most recent one is Danny, who just started a couple months ago. So this is I'm going to give, I think most of you have a sense of what facilitation does, but I'm going to give an overview for those who are new. And this is in some ways a recasting or a different version of the translational computer science arrow that Marone showed on his slides. That, what we do as Path OSG is help researchers advance their science through the services and technologies we provide. And then I think I've seen on Frank's slides before that OSG is about advancing science and then advancing the state of the art. So advancing technologies and methodologies by engaging with the communities that are using our resources. And the primary community that we've worked with over time has been researchers. More on that in a minute. And so the facilitation team is on the kind of on the left side of this diagram, where we are working with researchers, building relationships with them. And we do that through all of your kind of standard. We do consultations, we do office hours, we email with people, we do training, we have documentation. So those are all ways that we engage with researchers to help them advance their science through high throughput computing tools and technologies. But then there's also this key component where we are right in the middle of these arrows, facilitating the exchange of information and ideas between our community of users and our developers and infrastructure people, so that this sort of virtuous circle of improvement can happen. And so what I'll be talking about today is just some highlights from different aspects of those activities. And again, with more of a focus towards researchers, we'll revisit this whole translational computer science cyclical situation on Wednesday with more of a campus-focused lens. So if you're around then, here's a little preview. So first, I'll start with a few nice charts and numbers about our regular activities. And looking at these last night, the takeaway I had is we just have some nice, steady adoption growth. We regularly meet with people and create accounts. We've pretty steady office hours traffic. We have had a little uptick recently. We had a pretty large number of account requests just 3 months ago, and our busiest month for office hours in the last 12 months was in May. So that's kind of exciting, have that little bit of growth. And we do regular trainings, and we've had 2 very popular ones recently on GPUs and machine learning, not a big surprise there, and also doing bioinformatics workflows. And both of these topics will reappear in research talk sessions later today and this week. So that's a quick summary of what we're doing. So now I want to talk about just ways that I'm thinking about growing and expanding the community, and we're thinking about that as a team. So the first is creating more accessible on-ramps for people to initiate relationships with us or test drive our technologies. So we have a new contact page. You can just fill out a form, send us an email. You don't even have to know what you want to talk to us about, just that you want to talk to us. And so that's a really easy way to get connected with the facilitation team. We also have a notebook Jupyter setup where you can test drive a high throughput computing system. You don't need an account. You just go to the link, authenticate with some form of identification, and you can there's some preloaded tutorials and you can just give it a whirl. So you can put these in your back pocket to share with people. I think another way we're thinking about reaching different communities is focusing on certain research domains. So you see here, these are the same domains that were reflected in those popular trainings. As Marone mentioned, PATH is now a NAIRR resource provider. There'll be more about that and about AI and high throughput computing on Thursday morning. We just recently got a prototype of an AlphaFold 3 setup running on the PATH facility, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully more movement in that direction. We have a lot of biology and bioinformatics focused materials and workflows in the works. And we just recently had a really great engagement with a researcher who's doing evolutionary simulations using a tool that's a perfect fit for high throughput computing. And we're hoping to reach out to that specific software community and see if there's more areas for engagement. So I think these are definitely areas of interest to us. And we're going to have more talks today, especially in this biology and evolution space. So stick around for those to learn more. Another community we're reaching out to is the education community. You can use the OS pool for courses and training. So there's some stats here from a course at Seattle University that used us this spring, which it's like, I didn't realize they'd run 6 million jobs, which I think is pretty cool for, undergrads to have that experience. The instructor just worked with us. We set up the accounts and away we go. So I think it can be a really cool and accessible service for educators when what they want to do is a good fit for what we have. And for us, it's just nice to have that broader variety of users. So if you know folks who would be interested in this, please let us know. We'd be interested in working with them. And then finally, in the sense of where we're expanding our community and working with new people, we are building a data or perhaps object community. We've had a lot of experience over the past few years in integrating campus computing into the Open Science Pool and people using the Open Science Data Federation as part of their OS pool access. This year, we're really thinking about how do we integrate campus storage into the OSDF and how do we provide access to objects exposed via the OSDF, not in the context of an OS pool access point. I think Frank will talk about this a little bit, and then Tim and I will also talk about it on Wednesday. So more on that later in the week. So to wrap up, I wanted to present just a couple examples of how the facilitation team is doing that middle work, that communication back and forth between our communities and our lab in the translational computer science parlance. So we had an advisory group that met through last year, provided just some general feedback, some specific suggestions that we've incorporated into what we're doing. We haven't been able to meet so far this year, but we want to bring it back for the next school year as just one way to get that organized feedback from folks. And then the facilitation team also has regular meetings with the HD Condor and the Pelican developers about various user experience issues. So you see some specific things that we've worked on, but just in general, a space to make improvements and bring up the sort of weird little bugs that crop up when you're running these very large systems. And I wanted to highlight this as like to wrap up as a nice case study for what ideally this process can look like. So this is not quite in order, but Condor has always had pretty good support for multiple kinds of hardware, different kinds of architectures. So you can have different kinds of CPUs. So my team then wrote up a preliminary guide about here's how you would request, one CPU architecture versus another. Then a campus contributor emerged who wanted to contribute ARM GPUs to the open science pool. So then we worked with Tim. Not listed here is the step where Tim nagged us multiple times to find some test users. But eventually we sent out a survey, we found some beta testers. I'll give a shout out to Mots, who provided a little extra support because it's kind of a new thing to get them to test it. And then, see what happens. And you see some feedback from the person who was doing the testing on the right there. And so I think this is the ideal. This is what we want to do, is like try new things, involve people in the community, maybe reach out to new people, and all work together to advance both this person's science and the technologies and the services that we're providing. So what we'll be doing next is basically more of a lot of the things I just described: data community, working with specific communities of interest, scientific domains, education, and continuing to lean into that user feedback and development cycle of what we do. So with that, I'm happy to take questions. Stunned into silence.
Any questions from Zoom?
It's less a question, but sort of a request for everyone here is, any ideas, thoughts, suggestion that you can forward to us on the facilitation methodology. We have here Lauren, who was the first research computing facilitator since, I don't know when, since, and we have been trying hard to develop the methodology, not only the service. So anything that you can help in the name of translational on the methodology side to help Christina and her crew to do better, to try things, please, especially in the education. How do we get more educators to realize what the throughput computing can do for them in their classroom?
Did you have a question, Doug?
Yeah, so I just when your users walk in the room for the first time, what's the one thing you wish they knew that they don't know when they walk in the room?
What do I wish they knew? To be honest, I think one of the biggest hurdles for people is thinking more conceptually about their computing workflows. For a lot of people, there's not a big picture understanding of what they're doing. It's just like, oh, I run these 5 commands in order, or I wrote this script, but I don't really have a sense of what it means to use cores, to use memory, because what I want them to know is, if you have a problem that you want to run many, many times, that can be done very easily on our system. If you have something that you want to run over and over and over, we have tools to manage your workload and give you access to lots of capacity. But people have to get to the point where they can see themselves in that situation. And sometimes that is the biggest hurdle, is recognizing themselves in that world. So,
Doug, I think that, and I definitely had quite a number of discussion about it with Eva, that is sitting in the peanut gallery. If she still knows, she escaped, ran out of peanuts. I believe that we are better off by talking to researcher about automation rather than workflows. Workflows are problematic as a title of anything. And I think the main value that we bring is automation. And it touches on trust because it has to be dependable. And we are too much in the interactive world, and that goes into the AI, right? You want to do training, but you don't want to sit by your GPU for 3 weeks to do the training. Can you do it? So I hope that we can make it stronger that what we are in the throughput world is about automation. And I think it also connects us to AI as a method rather than as a target.
Hello, I am Vishal from Indiana University OmniSoc. Thank you for your talk. You talk about teaching on OS pool with 6 million jobs being run. Can you please elaborate on the process of providing access to the students, like how it managed?
Yeah, so providing access to a class, normally when we create accounts, people fill out an application and we meet with them individually and then create their account. For classes, that obviously wouldn't scale. So we typically meet with the instructor. And, they talk to us about what they want to do. We make sure it's a good fit. And they send us a list of names and emails. And we either send them a registration link so the students can enroll and we improve their accounts, checking against the list, to make sure that there aren't random people sneaking in there. And that's basically it. So it's just a slight modification of our typical account process that's a little more streamlined.
Is it kind of one account shared by multiple
Nope,
students or
Each
multiple?
student has an individual account. Yeah.
Thank you.
And last for me, I think. Oh.
We have a question from Zoom. Matthew West asks, has the facilitation team generated any training material for spinning up similar teams on other campuses, or at least a set of best practices?
Yeah. It's definitely on so the question is, have we created materials for other people that want to facilitate and have their own facilitation teams on campuses? There are definitely materials we've produced in the past as part of other projects we've been part of. And it's something that's always on our wish list, but we haven't, I think, made concrete steps towards. So.
Yeah, to whoever asked the question, we are interested in collaborating. It will help us to work on a specific case rather than we will build it and they will come. So if there's any campus out there that wants to do something specific, we send out our facilitators to attend meeting, to provide material, but please contact us and say, can you do this for our campus? That's what we plan on doing in the next semester. And we believe that we can do something.
All right, let's thank Christina again.